Welcome to I can't believe I'm going to say this, the 100th, that's 100 episodes of the Tokyo Jazz Notes podcast. This is the 100th episode. We never thought in 2020 that we would still be recording this podcast. We never thought that people would listen to it. And if you are listening and this is the 100th episode that you have listened to, God bless you. And you may also need to seek professional help. But thank you for sticking with us. And James, this is going to be a special episode. Can you believe, first of all, that we've got to 100?
Yes, episode 100. Listen, man, it's crazy. Like you said, when we started it in those crazy COVID days, which is funny because just this morning, the kids and I were talking about that, and they were saying like, well, Dad, like you didn't seem to, be as fussy about like COVID as like sometimes we heard from other people, other parents who were stuck at home. And I was like, well, because I had this amazing new project that I was starting. And it was just podcast. And they were like, oh, that's funny. And I'm like, no, I meant it. I was being sincere. I wasn't being sarcastic at all. Starting that was like, it not only at a really crazy, insane time for everyone in the world, that it was something like to distract, something fun to like focus on. But also it was kind of cool because you had gone back. It had been a while since we'd been to any new places. So it was sort of like a good time to like reflect and go back and re-examine the places that we had been to, you know what I mean, over the course of the first couple of years. But in no way did I think we would keep it going up to now. In no way did I think we would get all of these loyal listeners. And I would just think that, I just think it shows that, look, people love Jazz Kisa and they love hearing us talk about it. So, look, we've got a lot more to come, but we'll get to that on another day. Today, Philip, we've got something very special. Do you want to dive right into it and explain?
Well, I mean, I love symmetry, and unfortunately, it would have been lovely to sort of perfectly hit, and again, can't believe I'm going to say this, 200,000 listens just on our 100th episode. I think we're kind of more or less in and around there. We'll probably not quite hit them at the same time, but there seemed to be only one way to kind of mark this, which is the kind of spiritual home of all of it, which is in Pithecanthropus Erectus. And again, loyal listeners will know that we did record an episode which a lot of you persisted with listening to anyway, despite the appalling sound quality. We've hopefully rectified that to some degree without setting up a whole, slightly embarrassing and not very discreet recording system within Pithecanthropus Erectus. So on this trip in 2025 that you've been listening to over the last weeks and months, we finished it off by a visit to our beloved Pithecanthropus Erectus, and we recorded a 100th episode there live. We reflected on that particular trip, so there may be some overlap with the places that you've heard, being that it was recorded in advance of all these other episodes. But there was only really one way to celebrate that 100th episode. I suspect, James, we may not be doing the same thing for the 200th episode if we make it that far, but let's not worry about that now.
I think that number one, I think that we'll easily get to 200 episodes because I recently had some spare time, and I've updated my to visit list, which is now in excess of still 140 places nationwide. So we can easily like spread that out over another 100 episodes. And we're certainly going to be back at Pithecanthropus because I heard from a friend the other day. I couldn't make it out, but he was, for whatever reason, he was nearby Kamata, which is not a place many people are often just find themselves nearby. But since he was nearby, he was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go visit that place that James is always talking about. This is not a jazz fan, by the way. This is just a friend of mine who, I've talked to about jazz. So he went there and he texted me and he was just like, dude, man, like, now I know why you love these places. Like, this is the coolest spot I've ever had a drink in Tokyo. And this guy's been here like 15 years, And I was like, see, I'm telling you, man, like, you should have been listening to the show all this time too. You would have had a lot more places to go to. But yeah, Pithecanthropus is going strong. The podcast will continue to go strong. Our plans to visit more places easily going to get up to another 100. And yeah, man, it's been an amazing journey. And once again, seriously, thank you to everybody for listening, because I think we've talked about this before, Philip. Like, I mean, I live in Japan, and I'd be doing all this anyway. I'd be visiting all these places anyway, even if nobody was listening. But it makes it so much more fun to know that people are sharing it and now actually going to these places on their own. So yeah, just a great experience. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to you for all your nifty editing skills as well, putting these together.
Scissor hands. Edward, quite literally, Edward Scissorhands. Anyway, look, there's no need to say any more, really. We will be back with an updated 10 for 10 series, our kind of updated top 10 based on all the new places that we've been, and we're gonna do that in a kind of a top of the pops countdown style. But without any further ado, here is the 100th episode of the Tokyo Jazz Joints podcast, live from Pithecanthropus Erectus in May 2025. We hope you enjoy it. It's Saturday, the 17th of May, which means that I've been here exactly 2 weeks from Saturday 2 weeks ago when I arrived. I've been to, this is the 54th joint in that time, which is a lot. Some more successful than others. And we're in the legendary Pithecanthropus Erectus of Kamata, hidden in Kamata fame, of cover of the Tokyo Jazz Joints book fame.
Our home base, I guess you would say.
Yeah, spiritual home, I think, of the project. Always a nice way to finish the trip. So, yeah, we're going to try and record an episode of the podcast. Better sound this time than the appallingly bad sound the last time, which some people still seem to enjoy, even though it was pretty horrendous.
I mean, I can't comment. I never actually listened to it. So.
No, well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really either, just beyond the initial fading in the
vague
awful sound.
drunken memories of recording in here, but
well, talking of drunken memories, how many beers are you in now on a Saturday afternoon?
No, well, come on now, be nice. It's 7 o'clock, and we're only on 3.5, I think.
3.5,
it's still early in the evening.
But it's
got
like,
a ways to go.
Like the temperature 3.5, but feels like 7. Feels like 6 beers.
It's muggy. We've hit the early Japanese rainy season, even though it's May. So you're really feeling it. You're mumbling and grumbling the whole way walking around. Like
I'm carrying a huge bag of records, a load of souvenirs, a camera bag, and an umbrella. But
yeah.
Anyway, we're joined by the lovely Julie, who's going to remain silent throughout the episode. Is that right? Yeah, I see it works. Yeah, of course, the legendary Ishizaki-san, the owner and master of Pithecanthropus Erectus. So,
who's rocking an unbelievably hip Beatles t-shirt.
Yeah, class,
to say.
Absolutely class.
Yeah, it's really slick.
So, going to t-shirts. Kakkoi.
So it's the 4 Beatles dressed up as Charlie Brown characters. It's excellent.
So for this, we've been away for some of that I've been away for, and some I've been on my own, some I've been with you.
That's right. We hit a couple new places when you first arrived. That first day.
Lovely popcorn, doesn't he?
Actually, yeah, I'm glad it's not. I'm glad it's not some of the other otoshi that we get on occasion. Yeah, it was a good kickoff. We hit a place that we'd been the Mysterious Crescent. We've been trying to get into for a long time, which we talked about. It was so great to finally get there. And do you remember the initial joy of both seeing his unbelievable wall of records and then on the book rack?
Yeah, Tokyo Jazz Joints book.
Jazz Joints, and we'd never met the guys. It was just like, okay,
Now, I noticed you started with Crescent. Are you going to go through all the different places that we've been?
I mean, it's only 54. I mean, come on.
So, would you say Crescent was one of your highlights of this?
Yeah, I think it was a highlight for a bunch of reasons. One, just because it was so great to kick it off again.
Yeah.
After a year that you got back, and also because it was the third time I'd gone there to finally get in. It was really far from where I lived, more than an hour and a half, various trains. So getting in there and just being immediately knocked out by that wall of vinyl. What did he say it was? I think it was 6,500 records. In a small space.
That I don't remember. I mean, bear in mind, I had come from the airport after a 12-hour long haul flight. So
my memories of that are much clearer than the time that we went to Masako that first evening that I arrived. But
Well, that was your epic journey. That was where you got delayed.
that was the
Ended up like
delayed
24
one. After,
hours
yeah,
in
that's why I had to
transit.
stay in Amsterdam. But
Yeah.
no, Crescent. I think to get first of all, you'd been I think twice, and I'd been
Yeah.
once, and
Yeah.
it was closed, and we
Yeah.
couldn't. There's absolutely no information about it online. Right?
No. Which he'd said, remember? He's like, no, I only use Facebook and I barely open it. So
Don't even bother with that.
Yeah.
But despite that lack of being online, somehow he'd managed to procure a copy of the English version of Tokyo Jazz Trance, which he had on the bookshelf. It was, I think if I remember correctly, it was stacked on top of other books,
Yeah.
which was great to see.
Of course, our friend Kusnose was made an appearance.
Yes.
Jazz Kisu,
I'm not sure
2024.
exactly where his were positioned, but yeah.
Well, you see, as soon as you
that.
glance around and it's just like that bright orange comes
Yep,
out.
yep.
Like, even with my bad eyesight, I was just like, bing, you know.
Yeah, no, it was a nice moment because I said to him, "Oh, I see you have that. Can I see that yellow book?" And then he sort of brought it over, and then we sort of did the big reveal. So it was very cool. So highlights of my trip have to be. I haven't really processed them all, but I'm also conscious that we've just recorded like 12 episodes talking about them. So
It was a bit of Back to the Future.
Back to the
action
Future,
here,
yeah,
but
it's Back to the Future. But if I was
Yes.
to drive this podcast at exactly a certain speed, I would say probably one of the standout places for me has been, well, the achievement of getting to Okinawa, I think, is a big thing, right? Because that means that we've been to Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and now Okinawa, which
and not
really are
even
the five
not
main-
even just
five main
Okinawa, but I
islands.
mean, you know, Okinawa is a chain of islands, and you went to the absolute most southern
Yeah.
point in Japan, where of course there is a kick-ass jazz joint.
I was basically
you know,
in Taiwan.
the famous Scarecrow. So it's like to look at that geographically, you might think like, oh
Yeah.
we really hit it, you know. Yeah, I think so. You know, so we had our day in Tokyo. We had a day all around deep in Chiba, and then we had our time in Kansai, in Osaka, Kyoto, and Kobe, which was, you know, quite the journey over not even 3 days. It was just like 60 hours, you know, because I had to jet back Sunday night. So, you know, it was pretty intensive. But yeah, I would say Crescent for me was a highlight, and then definitely that first night in Osaka at the lovely spot, which we have talked about at length, which was just sitting there
Yeah.
way deep in southern Osaka, not a place that a lot of people get to, certainly not a lot of tourists, and the master there, just, you know, 80 years old, didn't hesitate to engage us in some good banter.
Amazing.
And I think we even called an audible. Remember that night we decided to just, because I think it was one
Wait,
other
what?
place we called an audible because we had thought we would go back to another place near the Osaka
What are you
station.
saying? Cold and audible?
Yeah,
Cold and audible.
yeah, it's an American sports reference.
Cold and audible.
And audible, yeah. It's like when you're playing American football and like the defense is like different to you thought, so you improvise. You like jazz, right? Think about that. It's improvisation.
Cold
Jesus.
and audible.
Sorry, I'll get back to some soccer references.
Cold
for
and
you.
audible. I was just trying to think of an
Some
equivalent.
cricket. Yeah, we
cricket
pulled,
reference.
We pulled a googly or whatever it is you say in your country.
No, you bowled a googly, but-
well, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
You could pull up your stumps, but then that wouldn't mean the same thing.
we improvised. We were jazzy. It was just it was so lovely. It was raining. It was a Friday night. We were tired. The guy was just so sweet. It was this dark place where he was playing records and he put on YouTube. He was telling us about Osaka history. It was just one of those moments that to me was just like, I'd never heard of this joint. I don't think I've never seen it online. It was just such a discovery, you know.
I think just YouTube for me was a bit quiet in that place, but yeah, you're right. It was a beautiful evening. It was a really nice spot. I think also, I think for me, like getting to Aberu was probably one of the highlights because like it was one of those ones like this is an investment of 3.5 hours to get here and
Yeah.
back. Is it
Yeah.
going to be worth it? Is
Well,
it going to be open?
It was such a fuss as well. Like getting the time sorted, it was a lot of back and forth. Like, can you make it in time, or if you get there, can you get a train back? I mean, it was one of those ones. That
Can I
was
call an audible?
logistically?
That was the question. That was the pressing question in my mind. Can I call an audible? But no, Aberu was a highlight because, like, when you go that far away, right, you're basically halfway towards the end of Japan. And was the point we realised it's just, well, Presumably you'll be picked up on this anyway, so.
No, it's all good.
But I think to go all that way and then to find that place, and like it's far and away the biggest place I've ever seen.
Well, you were saying it was even bigger than Woodside Basin down in Kyushu, which is
easily,
literally in the middle of the forest of a national park, right?
It was like if you,
it's a massive little farmhouse.
It's like if you took sort of 5 Lego Jazz Kisa and put them all together.
Yeah, well, everything up in Hokkaido is just more, there's more space, it's much more spread out. But the pictures you showed me, I was,
but also less people, so it's kind of a baffling. It's a baffling thing, but yeah. And then obviously getting to Okinawa, a bit of an achievement. Not really that going to those 2 places with like fairly limited time and tricky enough connections.
Also, I think one of the, obviously we've had so many great warm welcomes over the years, but JTN, again, down in deep south Osaka, Kishiwada, and how unbelievably lovely the couple were, and just how astonished they were that we came there early on a Sunday morning, and again, like how much they engaged with us, gave us. Do you remember she gave us that free pound cake that she'd cooked? And it was just like.
No. It was a chiffon cake. I've told you this. It was not a pound cake.
It's all
pound cake is a boiled cake. A chiffon cake is much more elegant.
Okay, Julia Childs. Yeah, okay.
Julia Childs, one up to date reference.
Calm down.
Tell me you've never seen the Great British Bake Off without telling me you've never seen the Great British Bake Off.
We talked about it. That British media is just a minor thing in the world presence. I'm an international citizen, so.
No, let's not get into politics.
It was lovely. If it was chiffon or castellas or pound cake, it was lovely, and they were great.
Well, it was chiffon.
And do you remember the old boys who came in after us, who dropped some Osaka bends, Osaka dialect that was absolutely impenetrable? These were the real dudes that you find in deep Osaka. I was just like, it was just making me laugh how little I could follow their conversations.
Well, again, we talked about it on the episode, but it's just that sense of like going into like a fairly deep neighborhood, and then not only that, but like turning a corner to a very regular street. And this couple have built this kisa on basically in their garage, right? That's the kind of amazing thing, I think. So yeah.
Oh, it was a fantastic trip. We even had some, I'd been waiting for days, and finally it came out with a classic Philippism where I read it before you even said it. Do you remember in Kyoto? This is just this one that I'm.
To be honest, there's so many classic Philippisms. I don't even know where I don't even know where to start.
I know. I could sense Julie just trying to like hold her smile back, but it was you. It was it was one of those streets in Kyoto that kind of like narrow, like old streets in Kyoto, and there was some tourist family there, and the guy was fiddling with the baby stroller in the middle of the road, and before we even got there, I knew you were going to just be like, could you just move that to the side of the road? Do you have to do this baby car in the middle of the road?
No, wait a minute. Just to be clear.
Oh, I was pissing myself with laughter.
There was a motorbike. There was basically a moped coming, and that's what was my issue. Was that like there was no sense of like, oh, got a baby car here in the middle of the street. There's a moped coming. I'll move over it. Just bang in the middle, and the moped went running. That was more. To be honest, I was more concerned for the safety of the baby.
No, the mom had the baby. She was on the side of the road. Wow, he was just fiddling. Look, as someone who brought my 8-month-old daughter up the Great Wall of China in a baby sling with a stroller strapped to my back, I had some sympathy.
You should really go back and get her. Actually, you should follow that one up. Wonder whatever happened to her.
Yeah. You're going to hear some Taylor Swift covers in Mandarin soon from my daughter in China.
I just want to find my daddy, James. Well, I think probably my highlights, I haven't told you this, but I think my highlights, or possibly low light, was when I got to Aberu. I wanted to get to the place as quickly as possible. And as we have documented many times, you look on a map, and particularly when you go up north, there's bigger streets, there are wider streets, and it looks like a few blocks, but actually that's quite a substantial one. So it's about a 20-minute walk to Aberu. I wanted to spend as much time as I could there before I had to get my train back. Because again, the trains are not that regular.
Yeah.
So I got into a taxi with a taxi driver who was wearing a spectacular toupee. That was the first thing. I mean, like he'd put it on in the dark, right? So that was the first thing. And I said to him, can you take me to Abiru, please? And he said, what's that? And I said, oh, it's like a jazz place. And then he said, sorry, what was it called? And I said, Abiru. And he was like, oh, I don't know. And I said, okay, well, look, I have it on my phone. But then I reiterated by saying, oh, it's like a jazz place. And then he asked me a question which in the course of 10 years of this project, we've never been asked. He said to me, what's jazz? And I was like, because we use that a lot, right? Jazz Numise, Jazz Kisa, Jazz Shop, whatever.
Yeah.
In the sort of understanding that generally speaking, people know what jazz is.
Even
hadn't a clue what it was.
Even considering your appalling accent in Japanese, that is a shocker.
Cheers.
That's just like, we had a couple good taxi moments there too, because you remember on our way to JTN that Sunday morning in Osaka, we had a taxi driver. Estimated age, I would say 97 and a half.
Yeah.
And I think the time that it took him to even just turn on the GPS, we probably could have walked
There was a lot of
it was a lot of fuffing
Like
around.
learning to play the piano.
Like, how do you wait? Which button was this one? And it was just sort of like, okay, we might get there in an hour.
Yeah, I would say generally, just as general advice, if you're taking a taxi in Japan, choose carefully, because more often than not, the driver is of advanced years. Generally speaking, don't know where they're going. And also, this guy in Abiru, once he knew where he was headed, he really put the foot down.
Oh, speed
So
demons.
he was flying through those.
But did he have the white gloves on?
White gloves, toupee,
Essentially.
mask.
Got-
But he didn't know what jazz was. And this man was in his 60s, so I don't know where he's been hiding, but anyway. So yeah, it was probably one of my, one of those experiences.
That's the thing. Is just when you think about it, like of all the places we've gone on this trip, and just over the years, and the sheer variety. Like, one thing that really jumped out to me when I was on the Shinkansen home that Sunday night was back to back having the experiences of Rokudenashi, of which you are rocking that very fashionable T-shirt, which I also bought. Thankfully, did not wear today, so we look like we're a couple.
I really wish you had done.
But I would have, but it smelled really bad. And then, but to go from that crowded, very higgledy-piggledy, small, dark Rokudenashi, and then to go to Bar Chetty, which was just like going into a museum or a gallery in Soho in New York. Like, it was just so sleek and white and bright and just like spotless. I almost felt like I didn't want to touch anything. Back to back, those two joints was just, and both of them just wonderful. I won't forget that.
In fairness, I think she didn't want you to touch anything either. I mean, you were a few drinks in at that point.
Hey, you were on your Otona Chokurato, whatever it was, the chocolate brandy.
Adult hot chocolate.
Was it the adult hot chocolate?
Which is not as sexy as it
I was
sounds.
a little worried when you ordered that, to be honest. I was like, what kind of shop is this?
I did notice at one point she moved the vase, which was a bit closer to me, and I think she was obviously like, these two are a serious risk.
Shout out to Chetty-san, though, whose name was, as you will have heard if
Has
you heard our
eluded us.
previous podcast, is not revealed, but yeah, she was very welcoming. And then, remember, she busted out, like, after we talked in Japanese for 10 minutes at least, absolutely, really
Immaculate
great
English.
English. It was cool. Wow, okay. All right.
But no, you're right. It's like testament to like the variety, right, of places. I mean, within 20 minutes, you're going from like 60s kind of clutter and grime to this like really surgically clean, like almost like an audio room.
Well, even the music too, because in Rokudenashi, much to your annoyance, he was playing some like Showa 60s type of like rock and folk, and it fit that vibe of like, oh, this is like a 1960s bar. And then you go to Chetty, and she's pulling out some European jazz from the early 2000s on pristine vinyl, and you're like, oh, this is all part of the jazz experience. You're gonna hear this, you're gonna hear that.
So what next? I mean, it's May 2025. If you're listening to this in the future, it's May 2025. It'll be, well, if you're listening to this, the chances are it'll either be
February 2026.
say early 2026.
You might already be back here, actually.
Or possibly May 2026. But hopefully by the time that you're listening to this, I will have either got plans to come back again, or will have already been back to continue this journey.
Yeah, and then we've still got, by my latest count, we've got in the high 60s of places to visit. I've got a couple to catch up on that you went to the Fusion Bar, the new one, Believer, and there in Kibukuro. So I got to hit that one night, and then the new Incas as well, the one that you went to.
Yeah.
So I went to the old Incas. So I've got to catch up and hit those like reopened places, and then also keep in touch with our new friend at Chigusa about how they're doing with their mysterious relocation. I don't think from the looks of what we saw, the location that they want to use, there's literally no activity going on with construction. So I think that this sort of temporary spot's going to be the one for a while.
Yeah, well, on that note, here he comes, finally. On that note, thanks for listening again. Hopefully, this sound quality is far superior to the muffled, slightly warped sound from the previous live in Pithecanthropus episode. And if it's not, well, thanks to those of you who said it was still really nice to hear us in a joint anyway. So,
and so we had some Thelonious Monk, and now we've got some Scott Hamilton on the vinyl. And we're going to enjoy a couple beers, have some food, and just wrap it up in our home plate. You know what that reference is? You know what home plate is?
Something to do with, is it Julia Childs again? She had a home plate.
You ever heard of baseball?
She always used a home plate.
Have you ever heard of the world's greatest sport called baseball?
Oh, the one that was taken from cricket? Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
It's from rounders. It's not from cricket. It's from rounders. It's from rounders. It's not from cricket.
Somebody told me something about rounders recently. Rounders is a Celtic sport. It's one of the official Celtic sports. So it's hurling, Gaelic, football, rounders, camogie.
Wow, this is riveting podcasting, isn't it?
No,
yes.
But rounders is an official sport of the GAA, which is the Gaelic Athletic Association.
I mean,
so you're
look,
welcome.
I've hung out with a lot of Irish people, and
you never heard that factoid?
No, I was going to say that it seems a lot of world great inventions throughout history do actually come from Ireland, which is funny because my Scottish family have always said, no, it's actually from Scotland. So I don't know. There's disputes.
Well,
every country has it. But
this podcast is not the one to sort those out on. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll talk to you for the next episode, which will be our top-down countdown of joints. Actually,
say that again. Say that again. Top-down countdown.
Top-down 10 top-down count.
Could you promise not to take your top down, please?
Do you know what? Actually,
we're that close.
I'm keeping my top on,
please,
and we're going to finish there because I haven't decided what order the episodes are going to be in. So thanks for listening, everyone.
Much love, as always. Stay groovy. Salud. Salud. Sláinte.